All right, hi everybody. This is Chris Gawlik from Phamous Poker Series Goliath. We're here with, we can certainly say, poker royalty in the house. This is a Phamous Spotlight with Tom McEvoy, 1983 main event champion for the World Series of Poker. He's in the Hall of Fame. Helped thousands and thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of players with all the books he's written. So, Tom, thanks for being with us.
It's really good to be here, and I'm very, very impressed with the attendance you're getting here and the turnout. There's so much competition going on with the World Series and all these tournaments around town, and you are more than holding your own, and I've been getting favorable reports on management throughout. So, you know, a question that comes up all the time. Uh-oh. All right. Is it like then and now? What was it like back, in the days of yore when the dinosaurs were roaming and players?
He said that, not me. I didn't say that. That was his idea.
And players like Johnny Moss and Amarillo Slim. Okay. As well as myself. I actually came along after those guys, but I'm still considered one of the dinosaurs. What was it like then compared to now? And it's like the nuclear age compared to the Stone Age. There's just nothing like it. I remember that the founder, Benny Binion, once said he was hoping that they could get it all the way up to 50 players in the main event, and he thought that would be a huge deal. 50. I saw Jamie Gold here a few minutes ago. When he won, they had well over 8,000. And Lord knows how many they're going to have this year. Probably 7, maybe. It's hard to say. Far cry from the 50 that the founder, Benny, was hoping for, that's for sure. Poker has just grown immensely. There is nobody could have projected what it was like. And let me guess, how would Stu Unger have done? All right. How did I guess that would come up?
You're making my job easy. I'm just going to leave right now.
I brought it up. That's why. Well, back in the day, Stu Unger was by far the most successful player that played a super aggressive style. Now there's all kinds of people that play a similar style that have had a lot of success too. But how would he have matched up? Good question. We'll probably never know for sure, but I think he was still a fantastic talent. He might not have been able to dominate a 3,000 or 4,000 player field as easily as he dominated a 300 or 400 player field, but he would have done quite well. He was an amazing talent. If his demons hadn't done him in at a very young age, Lord knows what he would have accomplished. But he was something really special as a player. I saw him playing with some of the best players on the planet. And the last time he won the World Series event, he was at a table with like Doyle Brunson and Phil Hellmuth and others of that ilk. And he totally dominated the table. It was like unreal what this guy was capable of doing. All right, you give me some questions.
All right, I'm going back to work now. Here we go. 1983 main event World Series of Poker champion. How do you feel after you win a main event when you go back? So you won in 83. Tell me about your thoughts, I guess, like when you played 84, 85, and right after that as a defending champion, all the way up until now when you walk into the Rio, seeing your banner on the wall as a champion. How do you feel when that moment happens?
Well, after I won the main event, I had won the Limit Hold'em. That was the second biggest tournament at the time. So they only had 14 events that year, 14, and I won 2 of them. And it was incredible that, I've never taken drugs, but I was on what you call a euphoric high. I couldn't sleep for 5 days. Absolutely nothing in my system, just a natural high. I knew my life would never be the same after that. And, of course, poker kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it is kind of cool to walk in there and see my big banner and my picture on the wall, with all the other champions. And that's always a thrill, and that's something they can't ever take away from you. My two biggest accomplishments in poker as a player were winning the main event, of course, but also getting recognized and making it into the Hall of Fame. I was on the ballot 5 consecutive years. The first 5 years they had a ballot, and the 5th time was the charm because the other 4 I didn't make it.
First ballot, everybody, first ballot.
That's what I was hoping for. But a few years ago, a guy came up to me to shake my hand, total stranger, didn't know who he was. And he says, "Tom, do you know what your proudest poker accomplishment was?" I said, "Yes, I sure do."
What is it?
I got the World Series to go non-smoking for the first time in 2002.
I got one for you here. So, you used to be an accountant, obviously. Talk to me about your transition from accountant to when you decided, okay, I'm going to start playing poker. And also, does being an accountant, obviously, you have a thing with numbers. Does that assist with bankroll management and record keeping and things of that nature?
Oh, yeah, very much so. I'm always keep very, very meticulous, good records. That's where my accounting background comes in. You know, there's a joke about old accountants never die; they just lose their balance. But that's a stupid joke, but it's still kind of funny in a way. But I've always been very good with numbers, very good with record keeping. It's very easy for me to calculate pot odds. I can do it just by looking, how much is out there, and then make intelligent decisions based on that.
Are all your decisions intelligent, every one you make at the poker table?
Don't I wish? No, of course not.
So, you got over a dozen books you've written, is that correct? Is there any book that stands out as, I don't want to say better than the other, but more informative? Is there certain books that you recommend for certain people? What are some of your favorite books and maybe a couple of your favorite experts that you like to pass on?
Yeah, I think the 2 best books I've ever written was the one I did do on my own with my editor, Dana Smith, Championship Tournament Poker. And the other one, which was our all-time bestseller, along with the tournament poker book, was Championship No Limit and Pot Limit Hold'em, which I co-authored with T.J. Cloutier, who has been a fantastic talent in those games.
So I guess 2 questions. We're going to hit these one at a time. Let's go back to about 1985, 1990 or so. Okay. An aspiring professional poker player, someone who looks to be a professional poker player, comes to you. What advice would you give them back in about the 1985 to 1990 era? What would you recommend then? And yes, the next question is what are we going to do now? So we're going to divide these answers up.
Actually, it's almost the same answer.
Okay.
All right. The first thing I would say is don't quit your day job. In other words, you have to have enough money to not just play in bankroll, but you have enough money to live on for at least a year, probably 2 years, and that's assuming you're a winning player. Most players don't really know if they're a winning player or not because they're guesstimating. They're not keeping accurate records. There's been a lot, discussed and written about bankroll management, but some of it is just simply common sense. But everybody thinks they're like the best player and they got the biggest ego. They win for a while there, and they think they're bulletproof, especially the younger players.
So back in all that, you mentioned one of the most recognizable names in poker, in Chris Moneymaker. I think so many of us do owe a lot to Chris Moneymaker because I don't think if he doesn't win that World Series of Poker in 2003, who knows where we're at. So my question to you is, what is poker after 2003 if Chris Moneymaker doesn't win that main event? Do you feel that him winning the main event led to some of these massive fields? I mean, I got 1,000 people plus for a $500 buy-in. World Series just put up about 7,000 players for the Mega Stack, 22,000 players for the Colossus. How much of this is Chris Moneymaker? How big of a factor is that name to these big player fields here?
12 years after he's won, the impact he's made is still felt. And I think for that reason alone, what he's done, he should get into the Poker Hall of Fame as soon as he's eligible. You have to be 40 before they put you in. His contribution to poker has just been enormous. And would a poker have grown? Yes, would have grown as fast? Not a chance. After he won, there was like 839, if I remember correctly, which was the most at that time in 2003.
Amazing.
The very next year, they tripled that. The year after that, they doubled again. They got it up to over 5,000. That wouldn't have happened if he hadn't won. Did the internet increase it? Of course it did. And I think Jamie Gould's record of number of entrants will eventually be topped. I think in our lifetime we're going to see over 10,000 entries, maybe even more. Yeah. And we're probably not that far away from it.
Tom McEvoy does do training sessions, classes. You can see the information right on the bottom of the screen here. Contact him directly. We'll get you set up, and he can help make you a world champion as well. Okay, so I guess the last question then, I mean, maybe you already answered it, but what's your next accomplishment? What do you hope to accomplish in poker tomorrow?
I like to win the Super Seniors. That's next weekend.
There you go.
But actually, I just want to be happy. I just want to feel like I can play when I want to play, and if I don't feel like playing, I don't have to play. And I don't like to feel like I'm under a lot of pressure that I gotta like bring home the bacon. I gotta go out and make that extra money, or my lifestyle will suffer. Yeah. So I don't need all that pressure anymore. I could handle it pretty good when I was younger. Now I'm older. Some of that competitive drive is kind of not so strong anymore.
Okay, so
when I was your age, I just want to kick everybody's butt.
So last question: what drives you to play poker right now?
Right now, I still enjoy the game. Heck, there's a social aspect to it.
All right, Tom, thank you so much for the time. It's been an honor to have you here. Remember, guys, give us a follow on Facebook, Planet Hollywood Poker. Give us a follow on Twitter at PH_poker. Thanks, everybody.